Look at me and tell me what you see. I look at you and tell you what I feel. Look at me and tell me what you see. I look at you and tell you what I feel.
What's up, everybody? Emperor John Kill 3D Gaming here with another video, and it is my final video related to the topic of Resident Evil as my review, my rant on critics, and this one overall is going to be based solely on the factual problem with the Resident Evil franchise. And what do you mean by that? What do you mean, John? What do you mean the problem? What is the problem with the Resident Evil fanbase? Well, I'll tell you what it is. It's not just Capcom, okay? It's the fans as well, okay? Everything is a double-sided coin, okay? You can't put sole blame on one thing without looking toward the other that allows it to fester and grow. And what do I mean by that? Well, for examples, people continue to use similar points against the new Resident Evil movie. And all of these points, at best, are generic. And they're arguing with video game logic instead of film logic. And what do I mean by that? Well, somebody in the comments for the past week or so has just been non-stop in my Resident Evil rant review and review of the film and rant video. Sorry about that, I got tongue-tied for a second. But basically trying to say that, okay, so you're telling me you can fit everything from Resident Evil 1 into a single film. You can fit everything from Resident Evil 2 into a single film. You can fit everything in Resident Evil 3 into a single film. Newsflash, no the hell you cannot. And it's people like that who are the problem. Okay, it's people that are in my comment section. You know, I see there's comments that make a lot of sense, but they don't come out their way to sound like dickheaded fans about it. Okay? See, me, I'm the first one to admit that I fucking despise the 6 live-action movies. I don't know what value some proclaimed Resident Evil fans like about it, but as long as those 6 films exist, Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City will be an underrated gem later in the future. Okay? It will be a highly underrated gem for its time. Why? Because unlike the 6 fucking movies, which was nothing but an overpowered Mary Sue fucking the director fantasy, this movie actually pulls from the lore. And it actually remixes the lore. See, here's the key thing that you got to understand. And this is the one thing they don't understand. That they claim they do, but they're arguing me with video game logic. A video game and a movie are 2 separate mediums. Okay? They continue to, ignore the fact that they're trying to say, oh, why don't you put multiple monsters in the same movie? Okay, let's dissect that for a second. So you want multiple lickers in the same hallway, which could kill Leon and Claire instantly, instead of one, which is a threat enough. Okay? And do you ever wonder why there's so many multiple enemies of the same enemy type? The guy in the comments is trying to tell me, oh, you need to put Mr. X, you need to put this, you need to put that. That would make it a jumbled mess. Do you ever wonder why you aren't in charge of writing the Resident Evil scripts, or why nobody really listens to fans anyway? Because this is the one thing, like, here's the thing. I'm a fan that I do enjoy when, say, a studio takes what we say into consideration and actually gives us what we look forward to. I'm going to use Sonic the Hedgehog for an example. Sonic the Hedgehog doesn't follow the video game. The movie just takes the characters and creates its own original story. But you don't see nobody, and I mean fucking nobody, saying, why did you do this to the story? Oh, why is Sonic in the real world? Oh, why is it just Sonic and Eggman but no Tails and Knuckles? Well, you got it now in the fucking sequel. Okay? The same thing with Mortal Kombat. There's an overabundance of characters that you cannot fit into a film. At least the new film with the dragon marking explains it very well enough, and it could you can choose, the director can choose what fighters can participate in the film or not, because you can't have everybody again, because that would overwhelm and overflood the movie. Okay? The problem with live action adaptations, especially video games, is because every fan has a different interpretation of what the film it's what they want it to be. Let's be real. Every fan feels that their version is superior to another fan's perspective. Okay? You could have a writer's room. And I brought this up in another video. Like I said, I'm going to flesh it out further. You can have a writer's room of 4 or 5 Resident Evil hardcore fans, and I bet you anything, each and every single one of them are going to have a different interpretation of what the film should be, because it's hard to decide what should stay in the film, what should be left out, what should be focused on, and what should not be focused on. Okay? That's the thing. Fans want everything, but without the context behind it. And yes, I'm going to say it for what it is. Fans just want to see pretty shit on the fucking screen, whether it makes sense or not. Okay? I wasn't the fucking idiot that was blinded by Mila Jovovich's flat tits and flat ass overpowered Mary Sue saga. Okay? The only one I ever saw in the theaters was Afterlife. That was it. Okay? But people are saying, people are basically, what people and the fans are basically telling the studios, since you chastise this new fucking Resident Evil movie, like the idiots and casuals you seem to be acting right now, but you're telling the studios that you want more Alice sequels when you do this. So that when another Alice movie comes out, and it's just as fucking stupid as the last one, people are gonna bitch, complain, get that sweet ad revenue just so they can say, oh yes, I covered it. And one of the guys in the comments had the nerve to fucking tell me, saying that I didn't watch the movie. I was like, then how the fuck would I make a video about it after 3 to 4 viewings of the movie? See, that's what I'm saying. I can't take what these so-called fans are saying seriously. Okay? Because they themselves are not even being coherent. They're saying I'm incoherent. No, I'm being straightforward and factual. Resident Evil fans, as much as Capcom, are the problem. The game suffers, not just the game series suffers from a mass identity crisis. Why? Where does it start? The fucking gamers. How? Well, most of the idiots I've seen arguing against this movie clearly make it so that they want overpowered Leon from Resident Evil 4, like over-the-top action fucking NSYNC Backstreet Boy rip-off hairdo looking fellow. Even though I love Leon, I do. But I'm not a big fan of superpowered action Leon. I'm a fan of Leon who is grounded in reality. Okay? And here's another thing that's gonna basically blow their fucking minds, but I know they'll try to argue it. A lot of the movie, when you go back and watch it, takes inspiration from the old scripts of the Resident Evil live action movie, the first one from George Romero. And what's funny is a lot of fans actually like that script, and then some idiot in the comments saying it was shit. Well, you're not the voice of the fandom, buddy. Just because you think it's shit, you know, you should increase your taste a little bit. Anyway, what I'm saying is, just because a movie doesn't look like the way you see it in your head, all a movie really needs, and I'm going to tell you one thing, and I'm going to tell you what it is, and this is what's going to shock every single fucking one of them, and I know they're going to argue it, I know they will, but the problem is, they're not making good enough arguments. They're just using the video game's logic against movie logic, which is already, they fucked up, because a movie and a video game are separate mediums. As long as a film carries the spirit of the source material. I'm going to rephrase that for you. The spirit of the source material. Okay? As long as Sonic the Hedgehog movies exist, they easily debunk any criticism that so-called fans have. Okay? Like the Sonic community. The Sonic community is very passionate. I've met some good ones. I've seen some fucking crazy ones. But at the end of the day, they're passionate about Sonic the Hedgehog. And not one of them criticized the movie. Why? Because it didn't ruin the video game storyline, because it took its own liberties with the storyline, being original. And that's all something needs to be. Something needs to be original. A Resident Evil movie doesn't need to be Resident Evil 100%. Okay? I'll tell you how you can degree this percentage this new movie. It's 70% of the actual Resident Evil storyline, with 30%, remixing it and changing it a little bit. Okay, but you know what? I'd rather take a 30% change than a 100% change. Okay? That's really what it is. Fans would rather see something in spirit than butchered. And I'm going to give you another example. The original Mortal Kombat. I'm talking about the original, the 90s version, not the 2021 version, which I successfully debunked people and trashed their garbage opinions out the window because they didn't know their fucking ass from their helmet. Now, Mortal Kombat, the original game was bloody. Super Nintendo wasn't bloody. The movie added lore to the game that wasn't even in there yet. You do realize a lot of the lore came from the movies universe that they implemented to the video games. You didn't forget. Either you chose to forget that, or you're being blatantly ignorant not to forget it. You know why? Because the Mortal Kombat 90s movie is essentially the Super Nintendo version of Mortal Kombat. That's how you can get away with it. It's basically the Super Nintendo version for kiddies. Just punching and sweat. That's it. Punch and sweat. No blood. Okay? The new Mortal Kombat movie, though it takes liberties and it's a prequel to the tournament, it held the spirit of the games. It holds the spirit of the lore and the spirit of its license. Even though, again, they have to dumb things down, because I'm going to call it for what it is. Modern movie audiences are stupid. They're retarded. Okay? I'll partially blame Michael Bay Transformers films for making people have such low standards, but that's besides the point. Modern fans and modern people, you're looking at the modern fans' opinions, okay? And what are the modern Resident Evil fans like? They like the over-the-top action of 4, 5, and 6. Why do you think Resident Evil Revelations, when it tried to go back to that, how long did it take? Though successful, it wasn't a super huge success. Why? Because you got critics saying, it's missing some of the over-the-top action. It goes back to the horror and this and that. And let's be real. Resident Evil, when it comes to its stories, people had the nerve to say, no, this B-class cheesy zombie movie. That's what all of Resident Evil is. Okay? Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3. Anything with Resident Evil, none of these stories are fucking good. They're not top A quality. Okay? These movies or video games are B+ at best when it handles zombies. Okay? And the most beloved game in the series, I don't give a fuck if I catch flack for this. The most beloved game in the series, Resident Evil 4, is what destroyed the Resident Evil series. Okay? It's not a horror game. It's not a survival horror game. Don't fucking lie to yourselves. It's an action game through and fucking through. Okay? It's an action game with monsters. This Resident Evil 4 is the original Resident Evil 6. Oh yeah, I said it. It's the original Resident Evil 6. Because everything in this game is in this game. How you play it, its portrayal, and its over-the-top nature came to fruition in 6 and 5. But people suddenly had standards when it came to Resident Evil 6, but not to Resident Evil 4. This is why I am actually in favor of Resident Evil 4 getting remade. Why? Because the monsters in the game could be utilized for some serious survival horror. Okay? Yes, I know we're worried because of what happened with Resident Evil 3. But Resident Evil 4 kind of should get a remake in a way, because you could finally make it the horror game that it probably should have been from the get-go. You notice, when the games go in the more horror direction, fans fucking repel it. But yet they say, Capcom, give us more Resident Evil horror games like the first one. Then they tried to with 7. With 8 a little bit, because 8 felt more like 4. But at least fucking 8 did have moments of tension that were horrific. Okay? Resident Evil 4 is what derailed the franchise into not having its own identity, when it should have been what it should have been from its inception. And where did that come from? Not just Capcom, but every single person that buys the sequels. Every single person, you basically tell Capcom that this is okay, but then you're gonna bitch about it later and tell them they should change. Okay? How about this? Back up those words that you guys have. Back up that you want more, just like original Resident Evil. Because I'm sorry, this new film, no matter what, people are mainly mad at my videos because I'm not following the hate train. Okay? I'm not following the whole, oh, it's this, it's that. I'm sorry, as long as the Mila Jovovich movies exist, you can't chastise this movie as bad. And I admit, for a Resident Evil and a video game adaptation, I said it, this is a C+ to a B movie at best. But guess what? That's all it needed to be. Because unlike the other Resident Evil movies, I don't give a damn what people tell me. Because somebody tried to argue it with me. The characters that they tried to portray in the original Resident Evil 6 movies acted nothing like their characters. Those were just cosplayers playing our favorite characters. Okay? Those were cosplayers at best with their acting. At least here, these characters act in the spirit of the characters we know. And I'm sorry, you can't deny it. The more you deny it, you're lying to yourself. Or you're a fan of the 6 live-action movies. Okay? And if you're a fan of the 6 live-action movies, I'm sorry, you don't have the right to speak on the video game. Because, let me tell you something. Why did it take so long for so many sequels to come out to those movies? Oh yeah, after Resident Evil Apocalypse, every fucking movie was a financial failure. Okay? The studio lost more than what this movie fucking is losing. Okay? And if I was a studio, you know what, I'll be like this. And I like the direction that Sony is in right now, because critics attack Venom 1 and 2. Sony's just like, we don't give a fuck. There's people that like it. We're making it for them, not for you. You don't like it. You can keep giving us your false scores all you want, because critics can't review their way out of a fucking wet box. Alright? That's plain and simple. If I was Sony, I would just ignore the critics and ignore the fucking half of the entitled fandom and make the sequels for the fans who actually supported the film. Okay? That's what I would do if I was them. Keep it low budget, but keep the spirit of the film, keep the spirit of the games in there, because that's all it needed. And if you don't think so, let me know in the comments. Actually come with some compelling arguments for me to actually not glance my eyes over, and use actual logic and not fanboy logic, because unfortunately that's the logic that was being used in my comment sections, was fanboy logic trying to be used against me, and in-universe video game logic, which again, video games and movies, two separate mediums. The moment you start trying to use the video game arguments against the logistics of a film, you're immediately going to lose in my department, because I've done it before, I can do it again, and my videos have proven that. Especially my Resident Evil videos, which are mostly my popular videos. I should have been a Resident Evil channel, because I know a lot about the lore, but that's besides the point. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. You know, if you share my sympathy, if you share my thoughts and sympathies with this franchise, let me know in the comments. If you're somebody who's a fanboy of the 6 live-action films and just want to attack this film for no reason because it's not Mila Jovovich, hey, let me know why in the bottom. So, anyway, again, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to like, subscribe, favorite. I hope all of you have a great, we're in the holiday, great Christmas coming up, great New Year's Eve. Be sure to look out for me and Matt Kilmer Reviewer on New Year's Day playing Resident Evil 6 co-op, because we finally got to get back into that. So, anyway guys, this is John Kill 3D Gaming. catch you in the next video.